Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria to the Supernations mod. It's been a cool minute since we've last actually done a Supernations mod campaign. In fact, we've only really done one before, and that was with Japan forming the Greater Japanese Empire. But I have finally finished the new Roman Empire mission tree / campaign, and I am looking forward to actually testing that out. So keep in mind that as we do this series, this is kind of more of a beta test run through the actual campaign. There are going to be some bugs that we are going to discover. I will try my best to go ahead and fix those. But otherwise, the entire tree, as far as I know, is done. And so we are going to jump into the game. And so we're actually going to start as two Sicilies. Any of the minor powers in Italy can form the new Roman Empire, as long as they're able to form Italy. So if you form Italy, you can form the new Roman Empire. The two nations in the best position to actually do that is both Sardinia and two Sicilies. But for the sake of today, we are going to play as two Sicilies. It's the slightly stronger of the two, though keep in mind that Sardinia does actually have more literacy, if I remember correctly, than two Sicilies. But regardless, that doesn't matter as much to us. So there's two things we're going to start doing. At least here's my plan for the early game, for this Let's Play. We have three states to start off with, and that's what we're going to have until we end up forming Italy, or at least getting close to it. All these, we need to get as much literacy as possible going so we can increase our tech advantage. In order to do that, we need to increase intellectuals, and because we only have two national focuses, we can only do two of those for now. We want a third one though, and our population could support up to 4.64, so we are going to go ahead and grab ideological thought as our first tech, so we can go ahead and get that third national focus going. Afterwards, we are going to focus a bit down aesthetics to get all the prestige we need, and then we're going to go down positivism to increase our education efficiency, so we can increase our literacy. Otherwise, once we're done with that, we may look into focusing perhaps on industry, get our industrial tech going. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get our economy sliders up. We have a lot of economic balancing in the beginning game, but we will do what we can. And let us go ahead and start. But yeah, so there's not going to be a whole lot of expansion early game. All that's going to be covered more late game. We're just going to get things set up. So we're probably going to be zooming through the early game. But Restaurazione. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but it is Italian. Italian and Spanish are both Latin-based languages, so I like to think that I could at least somewhat do it. Following the defeat of Napoleonic France, the Congress of Vienna was convened to redraw the European continent. In Italy, the Congress restored the pre-Napoleonic patchwork of independent governments, either directly ruled or strongly influenced by the prevailing European powers, particularly Austria. Since the empire directly controlled the predominantly Italian-speaking northeastern part of present-day Italy and were together the most powerful force against unification, the Austrian empires vigorously repressed nationalist sentiments growing on the Italian peninsula. So basically, we have a lot of Austrian influence over here, and that is the predominant part that is going to keep us from, well, unification. So keep that in mind. We got to go ahead and go against Austria and potentially France in the future as well. Looks like our economy is actually doing fairly well considering things, so that is good to see. All right, and I do apologize in advance. I am feeling some degree of allergies this morning, so I may have to pause the video every now and again so I can blow my nose. But regardless, we are going to continue forward. Intellectuals look like they're expanding nicely over here. Yeah, I would say so. But yeah, so we're just going to kind of zoom through this. Let's see. In fact, what I may do is just actually just fast forward different portions of the video. So you guys can still sort of see what's going on, but I'm going to fast forward it just so you guys can not have to sit through plenty of years of me doing nothing and just waiting here. And so I can also save myself from talking constantly. So we will start that right now. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do right now is actually give a quick update on what is going on. So it's been about 3 years I think since I started the whole little fast forward thing. What's going on right now is that I am going to go ahead and try to do any slight industrialization. It's not going to do much because we don't have any crafts in the first place, but at least having one factory per state should help encourage having craftsmen in a state. So if I look at the farmers at all, if it shows has no work available for craftsmen, that's crisis state. So we need to look here for even the laborer. So I thought that would encourage it. I'm pretty sure it does. But anyways, if we have below 25% literacy, which is what we have right now, it's not going to encourage craftsmen. So we need to make sure that we have at least 25%, which we're getting there. We're going to get there. And then we also, if we have about 30%, that's when the optimal amount of literacy you need to make sure you can actually support craftsmen in your states. So like this state has nothing going on because Christ state has factories. There are no, well, there is a factory being built here, so that kind of helps. Over here, there is nothing either because there's no work available. So if there's no work available, I'm not sure why it says crisis state, but anyways, there has to be a factory in the state for craftsmen to ultimately be encouraged. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make sure that each state has a factory in order for craftsmen to start spawning in a state. And so by looking at the RGO outputs of each state, this one has a lot of sulfur, which is why I put a cement factory. This one doesn't have very many goods. There's fish and then there's fruit. That's about it. But fruit is a resource you can use to build wineries, wine. And so I put a winery factory here. And down here we have both fish and wheat, which are both, what's the word? Input values for the canned food factory. And so I'm going to go ahead and put a canned food factory in Puglia. And so that's my plan currently. We just got to get the money to do it. I don't think we take a loan. Well, we can take a loan technically, but it's going to accrue interest, and that's not gonna be what we want. So I am willing to be patient. I think it is, I'm not actually sure what is taking our resources away here. But we will continue to move forward, see how things go. We are doing pretty well as far as our intellectuals go. We're making a lot of good progress here. We did just get romanticism, so great. Let's go ahead and grab idealism to get that extra research point bonus. And because that should help us get, our base is 5.12, so we'll get another additional about 2.5, 2.6-ish. I'm assuming it's going to go up slightly as our literacy goes up as well. So it's at 6 point, yeah. So by the time we're done with our intellectuals, we should have about 0.1 literacy per month coming in. So we don't have to actually worry about state and government anymore because there is nothing to do there as far as national focuses go. The only other reason I could think of is if we wanted to do any decisions. And our decisions are basically, we can, the Royal Order of Francis I, that requires 25 prestige points though. Which maybe we'll get. We have a lot of these shared research points or shared prestige points that we can get. Plurality is actually a good thing for us because plurality, if you've noticed, is actually a value for increasing your daily research point amount. So right now it's at plus 43.5, which you can go ahead and look over here that we do actually only have 43% plurality. And so the more higher that goes, the more research points we will go ahead and get. And so we're just going to look at about another 10% increase. The rest of this is just prestige points. We did just get a plus 5% plurality, which that boosted up our research points by about 0.25. So it does work. It does work. So that is a strategy if you want to go ahead and try to increasing your research point daily output as much as possible. Otherwise, what else is there to talk about? We did get this 1.6. Anyways, the rest of the decisions. So we do need this one. Not that we need it, but we want it. Italian call to union. So we do need nationalism and imperialism. Yes. Then there is this one as well. We need 45 prestige. We need to be a great power and also have nationalism and imperialism. And that's basically if we have all of the Italian states under our control. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Our next goal is just to get that 25 prestige, so we can go ahead and grab that first decision. But you can see our intellectuals is definitely increasing quite a bit. And as soon as we top that 25% literacy, we will be in good shape. I'm not sure if I remember there is a way to actually see how much literacy is in a state. And we could kind of check here. What we want is for our these pops, the ones that will become craftsmen. So basically our farmers, we want them to have above 25%, which is basically just these two pops. So in Naples and Reggio di Calabria. I don't know if I pronounced that right either, but I like to think it sounded good. Anyways, these need to increase. And so we're about to top 25% here on our South Italian craftsmen, or not craftsmen, farmers. So that will be a good indicator for us. Otherwise, I don't think I see any laborers, actually. I thought we had some laborers, but maybe not. Probably not in that state. But yeah, we're looking at a pretty good value going in there. We need to make sure we are creating generals to increase our military points. So every single leader that we recruit increases our military power score by 1. And that is also a good way to make sure you are trying to get your score as much as possible. And so our next thing to beat is actually the Dutch score of 84. It's going to increase, so we need to top probably at least 100 points or a score in total before we can actually grab a great power slot. And so that's our next goal. And so we're going to go ahead and fast forward once again. And so I'll see you guys in a sec. Alright guys, so we are back for a cool second here. We did just get realism, meaning, well, I'm not entirely sure, but we got 33 prestige points somehow. I don't remember exactly what happened, but we do. And now we can invoke the Royal Order of Francis I. So we are going to go ahead and click that decision. We now have it. And otherwise, we got Pompeii. We need to have invented Imperialism, which isn't going to come until 1860, so we got to wait for that. Not even sure what that, well, local space doesn't really give us a ton. But yeah, anyways, we're just going to keep going forth or through our techs and keep moving forward. We're in 1844 now, so we are making some slight progress here. I'm just kind of like exploring a little bit on the world stage, seeing what is happening, but I don't see too much really going on here. That prowess rearranged. Fantastic. Here we are, number 11. So we are slowly moving up the ranks. Now we got to beat the Ottoman Empire. So they are at 73 in total. We are at 68. Well, we can go ahead and increase that just slightly, I believe. Unless that actually did not work. So maybe there is a max amount of military power you can get from leaders. That seems to be the case because we actually didn't gain any with that, which is fine. We are going to need to get the military staff system relatively soon because we do want to get some dragoons into our armies. Otherwise, I think we're actually doing fairly well. Most of our states are starting to get their craftsmen employed. So Campania is growing nicely there. In fact, our literacy is above 25%. So there are still some debuffs, but not as much as before, as you can see here. So it's 8% now. Once they top 30%, they'll actually gain another additional 3%. And we'll probably end up encouraging craftsmen here relatively shortly. We don't need to encourage intellectuals in southern Sicily anymore. We can actually change that. The question is what to change it to. Clerks would be ideal, but I don't know if we can actually get clerks until we have a much higher literacy rate. So we're going to go ahead and check here. They don't become clerks. Would it be craftsmen? So craftsmen can become clerks, but literacy has to be above 50%. And because literacy is below 50%, we're not going to be able to get any clerks in any of our areas. We could try for capitalists, but I'm assuming that capitalists have a similar issue there. So if we were to check, I would assume capitalists can come out. Actually, we can totally get capitalists apparently. We have 22, but we don't really need capitalists. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to something a little bit more useful. Maybe soldiers. Or maybe craftsmen. If we go ahead and encourage that, that should actually boost it up quite a bit. Because if we check our laborers, for example, because we are encouraging it to plus 20%. So you can see it's growing quite well now. And it's actually starting to make a little bit of money. We're at 75. And currently we need to be 99. We are getting there. And positivism is actually not what I was looking at. Okay, so 1.2, 1, 5. So we just get a 5 prestige boost right there. So now we have 81. Let's go ahead and create more generals. We could... Ooh, more prestige. Let's take it. Now we're at number 9. We are actually getting pretty close. So after positivism, I'm thinking about going down some military techs. But we might just want state and government. Well, let's pause right after we get this. So let's pause here. Let's check. We get it by February of 1848. We do need nationalism and imperialism, but I'm going to go ahead and get military staff system first, and then grab the additional techs. In fact, we'll get this very, very quickly. So not too worried there. And then we'll jump down to state government, and we won't actually be able to get national imperialism right away, but we can probably go for one of these other techs and then grab it. Prince of Terror. Yes. That's giving us some infamy, but not a ton, obviously. So we're about 4% intellectuals. So decent. Okay, so, and Haiti went bankrupt. Let's go ahead and switch Campania to Craftsman. We actually have a ton of money coming in now. What can we build in Campania? I'm thinking actually doing glass factories. Even though it won't give us coal, because we don't have any coal, it will at the very least provide glass for our winery. So we can go ahead and do that. Not really sure what else to build in any other states, but we can go ahead and keep increasing our industrial power score. Lose 5 prestige, probably not. Because they're at number 8. They're at 96 points, and we are at 89. Let's get another general here. France as white peace with Austria. What happened there? I don't see anything in specific, but it looks like Prussia may be forming the North German Federation fairly soon here. We're not running into any conflict here in Saxony anymore. So we should be seeing a North German Federation relatively soon. And we do need, but what I said is I'm going to go ahead, so 20% more reactionaries. I'm fine with that. We are going to go ahead and grab some dragoons for our army. So we need 2 per army, and that should get our armies to 30,000, which should be sufficient for now. Are they at war with France again? If they were just at white peace. Ottoman liberation of Egyptian Adana. Oh. That would explain it. So it looks like Austria is going to be kicked down quite a few notches here. Become more liberal. We don't actually have any capitalists, so that's not going to do anything against us. So let's go ahead and grab a state and government. Yeah, we'll grab National Imperialism at 1850, and then we'll grab Impressionism immediately after that. And Impressionism is what's probably going to get us over that limit, unless we can... I mean, we might be able to get there over it ourselves. Because they're at 99, we are at 92. Sardinia is just at 53, so we're actually doing fairly good as far as trying to get to the great power status. And we just hit 4%, which is optimal. So we can go ahead and switch our last state to focus on craftsmen and start focusing on industry. Yeah, we have a lot of craftsmen. Ideally, we would have had a lot of clerks in these factories too. But like I said, because our literacy is so low, it's not going to help us to get there. It's going to be a while. I'm pretty sure once we reunite Italy, though, we'll have a buff to our literacy, because all these countries should be more literate than I am. Should be. I think I'd have to jump into the ledger and actually check that out. So if we go into the literacy, you can see... Where are they? You have Parma at 45%. Tuscany at 42, Sardinia at 42, Papal States at 35, and 2 Sicilies at 29. I don't think there's anybody that's really less than us. Now, everybody else is pretty much higher than us there. And Sardinia is actually expanding. Interesting enough. And they are in France's sphere. There's Prussia and there's France. I think I would like to get on the good side of Prussia. So we go ahead and start increasing relations with them. I think they're the next best bet here, because they're going to get Saxony fairly soon. Yeah, let's keep up the reactionaries. We're making quite a bit of money now, so let's go ahead and just decrease some of our taxes. In fact, we should be able to decrease it rather substantially. Which should help a lot of our people. Yep, we are making a lot more money out of tariffs now. We also have a substantial amount of people that are now able to be raised up in our armies. We're at 99, and they are at 103. So we only are just dragoons. Dragoons are good because they have more maneuver than hussars. Cuirassiers are pretty good themselves, but they don't have much maneuver. And their reconnaissance is less. But Hussar. I'm debating because I have been doing dragoons, Okay, Dragoons have maneuver 3, so they can go ahead and attack somebody in front of them, and 2 to the side. Hussars can actually attack 3 to the side. So for Hussars, we can have 6 per army and have them overwhelm an enemy unit. But Dragoons are just better overall. Corsairs are the best. But of course their maneuver is less. Which would be ideal for having them, or for Corsairs, but we need the reconnaissance. So if we're going to have them in our armies regardless, we might as well just have Dragoons. So let's go ahead and keep increasing this. Might be able to increase our navy a bit. We are still making a lot of money. Our factories are just hammering it out right now. We should be producing... Well, I can't say we should be because... Yeah, days of insolvency. We don't have any coal. So Sicily and Sicily, they have sulfur. Ammunition requires sulfur and iron. I'm assuming we might actually be able to make this work. Let's go ahead and build an ammunition factory over in Sicily. And Campania needs something else too. I think I'll just expand this factory. I might just expand the Sicily as one as well. I'm not really sure what to do in Campania. I might just go ahead and focus on soldiers instead. That should work. And once we discover Dragoons, we can go ahead and go down that path a bit. And increase our army score by a lot. Because in fact, at this point, we might actually be able to make a new army. Which I'm going to go ahead and do. So let's go grab 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they can all just spawn over here in Foggia. But anyways, I think what we're going to do is end this episode here. So thank you all for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. As always, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing if you would like to see more content just like this, more frequent uploads. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.